What is going on, everyone, and welcome to Around the Metaverse, our weekly show. We bring together some of the best content creators from the Web3 gaming community, talk about all the recent news, and give you guys everything you need to know to stay up to date. My name is Adam. I'll be your host today, but more importantly, and as always, we've got an amazing group of guests for y'all. First up, as always, we've got CryptoStache in the house. How's it going on this fine Monday, Stache?
Doing good, hanging out, having a good time. I had a good time this weekend, but it's good to be back talking about gaming shit. You know, we got some important. This is some important things to talk about today. People have been talking about it. I'm ready.
Big news. Big news on two relative things that we both touched on a previous episode. So updates coming for some stuff we talked about a month back. But introducing our guests for the show today. First up, favorite on the channel here, we've got our friend Dub, content creator and head of partnerships with Soulbound, also known as Questmaster. Dub, how's it going, Dub? Glad to have you back on the show.
Going good. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. Just been playing a ton of games. Excited for the My Pet Hooligan launch. Been playing a lot of Parallel. I'm actually competing in a tournament final round in 2 hours from now, trying to get first place in my first tournament. So exciting times.
All right, yeah. Give a thumbs up in the chat for everyone. Give Dub your best wishes and good luck in chat for his tournament coming up here.
Is there money on the line, Dub? Is there money on the line?
There's money on the line, man.
There's
First
money
place
on the
is
line.
$200. Second place is 100. So
at
least I'm getting the money. That's kind of cool. But I want all of it, and pride. Pride's on the line, dude. Pride matters.
Pride is the most important. F the money, man. The pride is, if you gotta go out with at least your pride. $0
rights, man.
Pride intact is worth more than all the money in the world, man.
I need that belt, man. I need it.
Truth.
Next up, we've got returning for another episode here, our friend No ACLs, YGG ambassador, and also Waypoint Gaming creator. No ACLs, man. Happy to have you back on the show. How's it going today?
Going well. Pleasure to be here. Honestly, it's going to be good vibes. I'm excited to talk about all this juicy stuff going on lately. So it's going to be good.
Hell yeah, man.
Coming to us from the Matrix.
Yeah, coming to us from the Matrix.
Always.
I see. Wait, what? Did you see? You guys see that right there?
I'm on chain. I'm on chain right now.
I saw the code.
Yeah. he's No ACLs is on chain right now. That's funny. And last but certainly not least, we've got returning for I think it's second time here on the show.
Number deuce, yes.
Second time here on the show, our friend King Apollo, one half of What the Metaverse podcast, an esports tournament organizer for community gaming, also content creator at Mazer HQ.
Oh, not anymore, actually.
Not anymore, bro. Sorry.
Well, that's actually crazy. That's the first time I actually said that publicly. I guess Stache gets a little.
He's like, not anymore, dude. We just broke that shit right
now. I'm actually part of OWN now. Shout out to guys over at OWN. Yeah.
GG, let's go.
Yeah, shout out Mazer. Mazer did give me my start, but we parted ways a few months back, and I've been locking in some of my own. So that's a little alpha I haven't given out yet. Really been working in the background.
Yeah, shout out then to the folks at OWN for hooking it up, man. King Apollo coming into the fold with the OWN crew, man.
We're
that's
just
awesome. Congratulations
for that misstep right there. That's Adam's fault.
Yeah, I know, but just -1 from
-1. It's cool. I never publicly said it, so I just took it off my profile. I never publicly said it, so it's kind of my fault for not informing people.
You good? That's it's my fault. I take the blame on that one. But going forward, we got it right. I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us in chat here. We got a great show for y'all. We're going to be talking about the Microsoft Activision merger. Finally, I think getting the green light here from all the global regulators. The UK was the last one kind of holding out, and with a new development here, they're actually probably going to be on board, and this deal is going to go through here sometime soon, most likely. We're going to get into why that is in a minute, and then we're also going to be talking about Call of Duty Warzone, or the original Call of Duty Warzone, going, being completely shut down, and everyone being sad that they're losing all their stuff from the game. None of it's being transferred over. We're going to talk about why, maybe what the thought process is for them behind this decision, and maybe why some of the stuff that we talk about here in Web3 all the time could benefit the fans and developers at Call of Duty. But first, let's talk about the Microsoft Activision merger, because that's going to lead into the Call of Duty stuff anyway. For those who don't know, there was just recently an article released going over the UK and why they're going to be getting on board here with this Activision merger. There have been basically this deal was started to be put into play, I think, January of not this last January, but the January before this most recent January. So it's been a long time where people have been going back and forth. The U.S. regulators were the first to be like, all right, let's get it passed, and then the UK now is the last one to hold out. But with a change here where Microsoft is going to agree to sell the streaming rights for all of the Activision games, so that includes Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, well, Activision Blizzard, so World of Warcraft, and titles like Overwatch. They're going to sell all of the streaming rights.
Cloud
streaming rights,
not
cloud
streaming. That's a
cloud
big difference.
gaming. Well,
so like, yeah, cloud gaming. It's a different.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different thing.
Cloud gaming rights to Ubisoft, which I think is a pretty good, like, as a fan of Assassin's Creed and things like that, and Ubisoft being a project we've talked about here, working on blockchain stuff, Web3 stuff. I actually think that's a significant decision here. I want to get your guys' opinion on it, and maybe a little bit of speculation on some of the changes we might see if this does happen. Stache, let me start with you. I mean, one, do you think that if this merger goes through in general, Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard, do you think that Microsoft is going to make a good home for all of the Activision Blizzard employees and games and things like that? And then if they do sell the cloud gaming rights to Ubisoft, where do you think that falls in this deal? Do you think Ubisoft is gonna take care of the games?
I think that no matter what happens, this deal is going to go through. I know it's been a very long time coming with a deal this large. It's not going to go fast. So it taking over a year, almost 2 years, makes a lot of sense. It's a global acquisition and merger. You know, we don't see that on this scale very often with any type of company. So it is a pretty big deal when it comes to assets. And when you look at gaming as a whole and how large it is and compared to everything else in entertainment, it really, that puts I think when you look at that number, that really puts it in perspective and shows like why this is a huge deal, because the future of entertainment is gaming based, and millions and billions of dollars are going towards gaming, bigger than any other entertainment vertical. So, you know, this is going to determine the future of a lot of these dynasty style games, which is huge. These are games that people will always play. You know, no matter how bad it is, no matter how shitty they launch the game, you know, these are games people will always pick up and play. So, I think that, you know, Activision being acquired by Microsoft, it makes the most sense. I think it's going to happen no matter what we see here with anything left. There's not many hurdles left at this point. But this change here with Ubisoft coming through as being part of the deal actually makes it a little bit more interesting to me. It's kind of like breaking up a monopoly in kind of a way, and then selling it to all of the largest competitors. They're each getting a little piece of this. I think that the deal, in general, I think that the deal is going to be a good one for Microsoft, and actually awesome for Ubisoft. But I think that at the same time, Ubisoft might even be getting the short end of the stick, because here's why. As much as Ubisoft is a great software company, Microsoft is, gaming company, Microsoft is a software company, and the ability to do cloud gaming, who is Ubisoft going to go with to make that a reality for all these Activision games? Anybody? Euler?
Microsoft or Amazon?
There's not a lot of options, bro.
Yeah, it's AWS or Microsoft.
There's not a lot of options. So yeah, it's either you're going with maybe, well, no, there's other options. You go with Amazon. Google Cloud is also a big one, but then Microsoft. That's those are the big three. So what I think is this is one of those deals where we're gonna be like, oh yeah, we're selling the cloud streaming rights to Ubisoft. They're gonna manage it and they'll get the revenue, but guess who they're gonna be using for doing the cloud streaming services? It's gonna be Microsoft. I can almost guarantee. Now, whether that's in the deal or not, probably not. I mean, I don't see how it goes any other way. So Microsoft still gets it.
And you'd have to think
brilliant.
Well, you'd have to think too, when that deal does, if that discussion hasn't already been settled behind the scenes, and we don't know about it, you'd have to think that like Microsoft is going to at least give Ubisoft a pretty good deal. I'd say more competitive of a deal than probably Google and AWS could give, just to keep that business in house. And then think about it, like, I mean, they probably wouldn't go with Google, because how many, like, I mean, Amazon has Prime Gaming and things like that. They probably are situated as a company a little like bit better to take that on. I mean, Google has the play. Google has their thing too, but in my mind,
Google was
Amazon
the
is a little
first
bit better.
company to put out a cloud gaming platform. It just was too early. Stadia came out and it was just too early, man. People weren't ready for it. The devices weren't there. The interest wasn't there. Really the devices weren't there. The hardware was a big thing, right? But that is going to be the feel. Like you guys see, it's going that direction, man. Appless and softwareless, where you're just connecting to like a URL and you're streaming everything directly.
It'll be nice when you can just play games on any like display, essentially. Without having to like
whatever.
having to like deal with the hardware.
Like dynamic displays, right? Just like we see with what we have right now, like the Switch, right, is a console made for dynamic displays. Now we're starting to see people, use their phones and connect, not only just use them for mobile gaming, but then connect them to other devices and screens and use that to power them as a computer. So all the devices are definitely coming together, but that's what this play is about. It's about playing for the future. Cloud streaming is going to be the future. But to appease regulators a little bit more, saying, hey, guys, we'll even sell the streaming rights, the cloud streaming rights to Ubisoft. Hey, is it a good deal now? And we're like, oh yeah, sure, that makes less of a monopoly, sir. We'll definitely pass this. Go ahead, pass go. Well, collect $200.
King Apollo, man, let me get your opinion on this. Why do you think it was such a big deal in the first place to regulators? I mean, we already, like, Activision Blizzard was already in a really bad place.
Yeah.
And like, they needed to get bought by someone. So, like, why do you think the FTC, the UK regulated body, I forget the acronym for it, and then there was a third, I think, in the East that also had Sony actually was part of
and that's what that was going to be my answer. I feel like the envelope was more pushed from Sony than anything. Call of Duty is a huge franchise. You think of the franchises that most gamers buy every year, right? And we'll say more the male side of it, right? You got Madden's, 2K's, Call of Duty's, right? And FIFA, depending on what side of the world you're on, right? You'll rotate from that and Madden, right? And these are the IPs people buy every year. So it's a scary fact of Sony, who just won a console war, to look at this and like, well, this is a big combatant to what's going on. In my opinion, most companies are monopolies anyway. So they don't really look at it in that aspect. I see it more of just like a continuance of the console war. They pushed the rhetoric for it to be like, oh, well, this is monopolization. I mean, we've seen Microsoft made a few plays to, I guess, make it less look like that or whatever. We don't know if that's for the better or just a cover up, right? We're on the outside looking in, but I feel like it was mainly pushed by Sony. Microsoft's really huge. They've been around like forever. I don't see why bringing Call of Duty over would be a bad idea. They've done really well with their Game Pass. They've done really well with the PC Ultimate Game Pass. They've done really good with cloud gaming. It's one of the best out that I've been a long time Xbox Microsoft person since, oh man, I can't even do like
Halo 3 we're talking, and Oblivion, dog, or Halo 2. But
I've been on since Red. What is it? Big Red 1? The one was like Civil War multiplayer. Like I've been on Call of Duty since then. So like I understand that, and I like the fact that they're gonna bring all of the games and be readily available for anybody to play, so we can go back and play these titles. Right? It'd be better if we could have our skins too, but that's another subject, right?
Yeah, that's the next topic.
Yeah. I'll slow down there. But yeah, bro, I honestly feel like it was more of a Sony situation. They pushed it a lot. They kind of like publicized it and pushed for that whole like debacle. But honestly, they do the same thing. They just signed a partnership with Epic like 2 years ago or something to bring their exclusives to Epic, right? So it's kind of like the same thing in my eyes. Maybe I'm not super technical with it. I'm more the gamer side, but yeah.
So I agree with you there too. I think Sony was probably the biggest, like, part of the biggest pushback, and their sticking point was that like they didn't want Call of Duty and other IP to go Xbox exclusive, and like that kind of got resolved like really early on in the discussion, which was good, because I mean, that's a pretty tall, like if Microsoft was gonna do that, like that, I feel like I feel like that probably isn't in their best interest, because like they're still, if they acquire Activision Blizzard, like they're still going to be making some money off of the sales of that game on for for PlayStation players, right?
For sure.
But I'm curious to hear no ACL, man. I'm curious to hear your take on this. I mean, particularly on the Ubisoft aspect of it. I mean, do you think that, like Stache said, do you think that Ubisoft owning the cloud streaming rights to all of Activision's IP is going to like be any significance for them? And like do you think we're going to see any significant changes coming to games like that as they go? I'd say Ubisoft as a company is a bit different than Activision, Blizzard, and Microsoft, in the sense that like they've been very forward about pushing Web3 stuff and NFTs and things like that in their game, at least early on, and then a little bit of backlash from their community. But I'm sure they're working on things and planning on going forward with a lot of it. What do you think about all that?
Honestly, it's a very like complicated thing, right? Because the way I look at it, there's been this feud between brands for so long, like from the beginning of gaming, right? Between Microsoft, Sony, and just everybody coming in and wanting to keep everything like exclusive for their big IPs, right? I always love Halo, and going on to Sony, I like and some of their like exclusives as well. I love them as well, like God of War.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's games that are timeless, but you had to be specific to a console, right? So something like this, like it's huge. I know there's a concern that like, they can make changes that the original community doesn't like and so on. And like there's already such like big tension there. But I'm like on the optimist side. Like I'm hoping that like there's already a trend of crossplay taking over every game right now, right? And I think it's just a matter of time before they start opening it up and making these IPs available across platforms, right? Because I think we've been going through this feud for so long. We're already at this point where it's been going on long enough. Like everything is crossplay, and it's about time we just accept it. Like bring Halo to PlayStation, bring God of War to Xbox. Like we can make it happen, right? Like they're going to acquire everything essentially, right? Like all their favorite games, COD, Overwatch, they're going to get MLG, they're going to get everything in this bundle here. So they can make some good things happen, but that's if they focus on, the gamers and, the culture. So we'll see what they do, right? Like I can't really speak for like the regulatory side and, the technicalities of like the cloud gaming, but as far as it goes, in the gaming community, I hope that they bring it together and bring everyone together once and for all. Like I'm tired of this bickering,
Yeah, man. No more no more exclusives, and yeah, bring God of War to
those days are done.
Xbox. Well, I was gonna say
the days of exclusivity on those days are done, man.
The secret,
it's never gonna happen again.
You know what the secret is, guys? For all of you out there worrying about exclusivity, buy a PC.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's go.
Game Pass and Epic. You can get both exclusives. You can get both exclusives.
Buy a PC.
I tell people all the time.
No, I will
bro.
tell you though, there are games that they just don't bring to PC though, man, for sure.
True,
exactly.
But I think the deal with Epic and PlayStation was over time the exclusives would make it to Epic and let PlayStation kind of make their money first. So that's kind of like why we see Spider-Man late and stuff like that. So eventually we'll get it if we feel like waiting 6 months to a year.
I'm okay with that. I'm not. And this is like a multiplayer game, which would always launch on PC, I think, as well. Like online multiplayer. A single player campaign, like if it comes out 6 months after the initial release on a console, I'm okay with that. I don't, as long as it just comes out. Like I don't, like don't exclude us PC players, man. Like
for sure.
Doug, let me ask you about this, man. I mean, well, particularly like. I mean, I want to ask you in general about these games that are going to be kind of in a transitionary period here, and we're going to talk a bit more about Call of Duty exclusively in a second. But as we, if and most likely when this merger does go through, I mean, do you think that we're going to see the flagship games of contained within this deal remain in their kind of hierarchy of like these are the best games everyone's playing, like Call of Duty? I mean, Overwatch is kind of already falling off a bit, I'd say, with Overwatch 2 being just like reskinned original Overwatch. And World of Warcraft has been, has had its haters and its addicts for, it's the polarization of WoW players is a timeless thing. But do you think that these games are gonna stay? Like, what's their expiration date? Do you see them being as popular as they are now in 2 years, in 5 years?
Yeah, I think their expiration date is the same as our expiration date. Like we're pretty much the consumers here, right? Like we grew up on these. We want, like, if Call of Duty 4 came out and it was on chain and like all that stuff and it was mass market, like, and everyone liked on chain gaming, like we'd all hop into that for sure, just for to experience again, to play it again. It's the same reason why Tetris is popular still with, with the gamers who grow up on Tetris. It kind of makes sense. But like my biggest thing is Call of Duty is so weird compared to everyone else. It's like the EA Sports model of like FPS shooters, where they have to come out with a new freaking one every year, and like they probably look at Fortnite and Counter-Strike and be like so jealous that it's like they just do one freaking game and then they just slightly update it, and that's all they got to do, and like I want to say that with this acquisition and everything, they're probably looking at that model and trying to make that happen while still servicing their previous titles and consumer base there. So like I'm really looking forward to like the Call of Duty that's just Call of Duty, and you come and play this one and it maybe the skins there affect all the skins in the rest of the games, or some weird cool throwback that way that they can figure out. But yeah, they just need a model kind of more similar to CS or Overwatch, even, where it's just like it's just one game. Overwatch 2 was the biggest dumb idea they could do. They should have waited another decade, right? And done Overwatch
Made a
2
whole
or
new
something.
game, yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think you're probably right on the money there. I'm curious to see what starts happening in this transition, and I mean we're already seeing something pretty big happening here with Call of Duty, not part of the merger or anything like that, but just because, like you said, they probably look at games like Fortnite and are like, man, how can we set our model up the same way they have? And what they've done now is with the launch of Warzone 2, they're putting all their focus towards that. And so those of you who don't know, watching, I think it was September 21st, so like 4 days ago, that was the last day ever for Call of Duty Caldera, the original Warzone map. And so fans of that map didn't even actually, from what I understand, the previous map that they sunsetted, Verdansk, they even
yeah.
did like a little kind of animated like send off party at the end of that for players. And I guess that didn't even happen with this. It just like
They're just like, they
the
just cut
servers
out, like,
turned
now
off.
screw it, man.
Yeah, literally it was like, all
It's like
right,
fuck us.
Thanos snapped his fingers and that Call of Duty 1 disappeared into ash, and Call of Duty 2 remained post blip. And now that's what we have. All of the skins and all the content and all of your progress from Call of Duty Caldera also evaporated along the servers. And that's why I thought that was a pretty interesting choice that they made. And it would be crazy to see, like, imagine Ubisoft, this deal goes through with Microsoft, Activision Blizzard. Ubisoft gets the cloud streaming rights for Call of Duty. They bring back Call of Duty like Warzone, Caldera, and then bring back, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that per like people having that data available still, but imagine all of the skins and things like that are NFTs now, and you get a bunch of like cool stuff in the new game based on what you have from Ubisoft. But no way, Steels, let me ask you first, man. I mean, do you think them shutting down the original Warzone and not just like saying, all right, we're gonna not put any more, like, we're not gonna be, I mean, I guess they had already been doing that, but like, do you think this is a mistake that they're making? And do you think that gamers, the original, like the fans who are still playing that game, uh, are like, how would you feel if you were them?
I personally think it's terrible. Like, honestly, there's a lot of games that I've played over the years, like over the last 20 years, that this has happened to over and over and over again. It's not something that's new, right? Like, I think gamers were just conditioned to accept abuse at this point and allow things to just go the way that these companies please to, take it, right? So I think it's terrible. Like the points that you mentioned, it would be great if Ubisoft did bring it back, and yeah, in a dreamland we get NFTs and all that great stuff. We gotta hope everyone accepts this at some point, right? We're still here hoping for mass adoption at some point. It's not happening yet. So I think that type of outlook is a long way away unless we're in for a surprise here. But honestly, man, it would help so much because I'll give you a little story here. Like back in the day, there were some communities that I used to administrate for some just small games. This was really before like online gaming took off, before console gaming. This was like on PC. You were getting discs, and a lot of these games, like when online gaming started, built communities, and like you had communities just like Discord where there were hundreds of thousands of users, people administrating these communities, moderating. You
The
had fan
forums.
pages, yeah, forums, and people were running their own like initiatives across regions, and it was just like this big like thriving ecosystem. And outside of the game, forget about skins entirely, this affected like so many people on so many levels. So I can just see right like at the core, just stabbing the community right there in the heart. That's the worst thing they did, right? Because anything else that it like exists outside of the game itself is ended, and that's the worst thing in my opinion.
Hmm.
So yeah.
And I mean, yeah, you think about all of the like, as if you were someone who poured hours of your life into this game, it's like, all of that just disappeared in an instant, like last week. And now what? I'm just gonna spend all the exact same amount of time in Warzone 2. And what is this? Is the same exact thing gonna happen again in 2 or 3 years? Stash, let me ask you. I mean, like, one, well, it seems like you think that that will happen again in 2 or 3 years. I mean, and do you think like why do you think that they're not carrying over any of the progress, or at least throwing the players a little bit of a bone with something to like, you got this far in the game here, or even you played the game at all. Here, have this skin or something like that.
Nothing, dude. Nothing. What is it? It's straight. It's just greed. It's greed and short sightedness. I would say. Are they doing it on purpose because they're greedy and they're like figure this would be a great way to make more? Yeah, of course. They know people are addicted to the game. Like literally, like they cannot stop playing Call of Duty. And
Yeah.
those people are going to spend money. And so if there's a new thing to spend money in, why not? Like you're going to alienate some people, but not enough. Not enough for your franchise, for your dynasty to crash. And I think Microsoft, they realize this. They understand that like Call of Duty is almost untouchable. Like people can talk as much shit as they want about it and claim how horrible everything is, but at the end of the damn day, there's always still a ton of people playing these games. That's not going to change. They know that. So they're kind of taking advantage here, What could they have done? I mean, easily, man. Why even, like why have two separate instances of the game? Why didn't Warzone 1 just carry on into being like the next upgrade and
Like
Warzone
Fortnite.
2 and it's literally the same thing, but it wasn't. They could have made it be a gradual upgrade, right? Where you're like, oh, we have one map. That's, it's just Warzone. There's no 1 and 2. It's just Warzone as a mode, and then here's a brand new map. Cool, we added some new features. We added some new shit that maybe is just on this map, which you could easily do. New mechanics just on this map. I think that would have been fine, and people would have been more excited about it and probably wanted to play it more long term. But once again, they know that as much as they screw up, they're not going to alienate enough people for the game to collapse. So it comes down to, I would say greediness, being greedy, and not really necessarily having the foresight of like, well, how can we set this up for the next 10 years to really be sustainable in a way where players feel like they're appreciated and listened to, where we make enough revenue, enough money off of these, cosmetics and in-game skins, but we also continue to find ways to engage our players through these things, these items as well. Yeah, an easy way to get people to come back could be, hey, if you've played this, we got this new thing that's coming for you. All you got to do is connect your account or make sure to log back in or whatever it may be. So yeah, I mean, in their opinion, like in our opinion, did they screw up? Of course they did. In every gamer's opinion, they didn't play this right. But as a business decision, who cares? I literally could see them sitting in their boardroom and talking about this and deciding like who cares, because we're never going to lose enough players for it to make a difference to us. So they can go ahead and keep doing this. That's why these AAA games, man, they get to a point where it's like they have no respect for the players anymore, and they just do stupid crazy ass shit because they're completely out of touch with what's going on. And they've made this big barrier, and Microsoft and Activision and some of these like they've done a really good job of doing that over the years for all of their games. And so I think hopefully that will change with this Microsoft merger. But when we talk about where does Web3 come in this? Could NFTs have changed this? Well, no, man. I mean, if a game shuts down, a game shuts down, man. The NFTs are not going to be really worth shit if the game shuts down, whether they got NFTs or not. If you can't do shit with your NFTs anyways, it doesn't matter. But where that can be powerful, if they were NFTs, they'd be a lot easier to incorporate in other aspects, in other games, in other IPs across your same, pool of games or your same, infrastructure, right? We talk about, interoperability amongst brands, right? So all the Sony games have all their IP interoperable amongst each other. We'll just start there. It doesn't need to be outside of your own little ecosystem, but man, even if just Warzone or if Call of Duty had done that, and we're looking towards that as the future. Well, how do NFTs fit in here? How do NFTs fix this? How do they make it better? Well, they don't fix that problem. If a game is done and there's no more servers, man, the game is fucking done. It doesn't matter if it has NFTs. But the cool thing about the NFTs, even if that does happen, what is the difference? When Warzone 1 shuts down and you put in $300 or $400 for your skins,
you get zero back.
You get nothing. You don't even get a memory of that purchase. You don't even get a freaking receipt of that no memory at all. But if they were NFTs, even if you couldn't use them and you couldn't do jack shit with them anymore, you could at least still look in your wallet and be like, oh man, I remember playing Warzone 1. That was my favorite skin. That operator skin was like I rocked the shit out of that thing, man. I had so many good times playing with that skin or being that person in that game. Wow, that's a great memory. At the very least, give us that.
Yeah, man. I love being Nicki. I love playing as Nicki Minaj, man. That's my favorite memory of all.
You know what?
Oh
you know
my
what? She will. Hey, maybe Nicki's out there and she's been playing some Call of Duty like her. She's like, damn, I love the fact that I was in Call of Duty. That's how I feel. Put me in, man. I'm way cooler than Nicki Minaj. I'm like, look at it, man. Look at it. Much better.
Microsoft, put Stache in the game, man. If you're watching, put Stache in the game. Apollo, man. Let me hear your take on this. I mean, as a gamer, how would you feel if this was like?
Oh, if it happened to me?
Yeah.
Because it did. I am a long
yeah.
time Call of Duty fan since the beginning of multiplayer in Call of Duty. I bought every Call of Duty game that's ever come out, and I feel like an idiot now that I look back at it. Yeah, it's detrimental. I feel like a lot of the other players, we put a lot of time into those weapons, into the skins. And the initial statement that we heard I remember season 2 Warzone 1, right? When we first started, the initial thing was, it's going to change over time, but you guys will be able to retain certain things and be able to use certain things in certain places. The first switch over, we were able to use our Verdun stuff on Verdun still, and we can use our Caldera stuff on Caldera, right? And you can use both on either game, right? Then they made it to the point where there's no rubber dots. We're like, okay, now we can use those skins. And then it's like you do the same exact thing, right? And this time you don't even give us the opportunity to still hold on to those skins for a while. You just switch us over. So me, somebody who spent like $1,000 on skins in Call of Duty over probably since Warzone started, it hurts. It hurts a lot. Like, I've been a huge fan of the company. I honestly feel like it's the same as Stache. The Titans in the game have become very lazy and underappreciative of their actual communities. You see it with EA. You see it with FIFA. You see it with, majority of the EA games, majority of the we drop every year kind of games, they all suck. I play them every year. I'm not like I'm guilty of helping them, right? Like I'm playing Madden now. I love it, but it sucks.
2K,
it's bad.
2K people are crazy, dude.
Yeah, bro, 2K sucks every year,
crazy.
but we still do it. Like we still go. Madden is like, it's not even skins rendering in there. People are
buying. They're not even rendering.
They're not. Yeah, so they're not even rendering in. So it's stuff like that. And it's like, I just feel like they got super lazy, got super underappreciative. They understand, like Stache said, who's going to care? Like if enough people don't care in order for it to make an actual substantial impact, we're not going to do anything. And they understand that it's business. Like it's true. It's like, hey, if I put this sign out front, well, some people won't come, but it'll attract a lot more people or it'll bring new players in. But I honestly feel like it's a bad model. We've seen Fortnite and Apex have showed us that you can release a game, you can keep updating it. It can be a first-person shooter. You can have multiple skins. You can have multiple guns. You can have a bunch of stuff and put it on the thing. It's no way you're telling me that Call of Duty doesn't have enough money like Fortnite does. I'm sorry. They literally have 5-6 regular maps, and then you have like 1 million creatives that people just made on their own, and you're telling me we can't host a Warzone server? Like we can't host Warzones. So like it doesn't make sense to me. I feel like it's really out of touch. I feel like they're being old geezers in the game. They're not trying to. They're gonna and to be honest, I'm gonna evolve. It's like the rap game. If you listen to Lil Wayne said, why did you over time stick around? He said, because I always learned to adapt and never steer away from the new, right? You have to adapt and welcome it in. And that's how you move on, because everything evolves over time. So it's like, if you're not evolving with the times, yeah, they're tight now, but somebody will come knock them out. Nobody thought Fortnite would do what it did. So it just takes a matter of time for somebody to come and just knock Call of Duty off their rocker. And at that point, it might be a little tough for them to combat that whole who cares? You know what I mean? Like who's it gonna matter to more? You know what I mean? So yeah, it sucks, dude. I'm actually like, this is like PTSD having this conversation, but it's all
flashback to
for the
Verdansk.
it's for the greater good of gaming. So it's a great conversation to have for sure.
I feel like it's less of a sting because we've played games like 2K, FIFA. So like I
Yeah.
remember the very first time like playing Ultimate Team, the year ended and the new game came out and I was ready. Like, I thought I'd have my cards. I had Messi. I had some really good, squads going.
Got to get them all
To find
over
out I
again.
had to do it all over again, and I did it
yeah.
for 15 years and kept going.
Criminal,
What's-
man. That shit is
What's
criminal.
what's worse about those games too is like the like gotcha mechanism isn't just purely cosmetic. It's like it's skill. You know what I mean?
It's
It's
skill,
literally
yeah.
it's literally pay to win.
Oh, for
Because,
sure.
They're
you
like
know, the-
skins, really.
All
right?
ultimate teams are all pay to win. It is
Yeah.
what it is. It sucks, but
Doug, let me get your opinion on Call of Duty, on what's going on with Call of Duty, man. I mean, do you think like do you think that this is really going to hurt them going forward, and do you think that they're going to actually make changes to like when ultimately they do go to a new iteration of Warzone? Are they going to do the same shit again, or are they actually going to take a page from Fortnite and Apex and like retain the map, maybe, just put a little update in here, and we can keep the ball rolling, and no one needs to lose all their stuff. No one needs to lose all their stuff.
Right. And I'll try to be nice because I'm going to be a little like contrarian on it. Like, because for me and my crew, we stopped playing Call of Duty when like Call of Duty started selling skins. It was like we moved from Xbox to PC like right around that time. Started playing PUBG, started playing these other things, and like when I think about my group, like yeah, I buy skins. One of my other buddy buys skins, but like we got a couple other guys in the group that like we played Counter-Strike for more than a decade and they still have never bought a skin. Like I think that's not representative of the whole community, the skin buyers. Like at the end of the day, like Call of Duty can keep doing what they're doing. They make extra revenue and stuff off people buying skins and all this kind of stuff. So of course they're going to have syncs and resets so they can keep selling them and all this kind of stuff. And that's just their business model. But if the game's good and the stuff's there, like I still think like 75% of these people never buy a skin, and still play the game. And that's where a lot of their finances come from, actually, so like, yeah, they're going to keep doing it. And they, for sure, they're eyeballing these other models and being like, dudes, can we just make one game for for like 5 years? Just that, like they got to be begging for it, I'm sure. But like, skins aren't everything, and like, yeah, losing them sucks, but that is their model, and people are going to keep doing it because it works.
Well, yeah, I hope we see some changes with that. Maybe we will with again, this transition that we're seeing with Activision, Blizzard, and Microsoft here. I miss the days. Well, I don't know if y'all remember. Well, I'm sure y'all remember TF2, but like I miss TF2, where you'd like just randomly pick up, like you'd be playing and then just like a little notification would pop up and you randomly picked up like some crazy fire axe for the pyro guy, or like some awesome skin, like just without having to pay for it, without anything. They even made TF2 free after a while, and that shit was still the case, where you didn't actually, how are they even making money off that game, to be perfectly honest. But I'm interesting to see what's going to happen here with Microsoft, and particularly with Call of Duty. Our hearts go out to the Caldera fans out there who lost a ton of hours and probably money too in
Yeah, hold on. I'm sorry. Sorry to interject real quick.
No.
Thinking about what Dub was saying, I had something I was gonna say, and one, I agree with you. Not every player is a skin buyer. That is 100% true. There are people who just will never buy a skin. They just don't care. It's not a big deal to them. It doesn't change functionality. And then there's people like us. We like to look good. But the fact of the matter is that it's still a massive. Like you can't shove it under the rug and say, oh well, not everybody buys skins, so it's not that big of a deal, and they make revenue. Like it's a massive source of revenue for them.
Sure.
Now, what I will say though is that with these skins, yeah, we're talking about, okay, yeah, we lost the skins, it sucks, but that's their business model. But dude, it's not just the skins too; it's the accomplishments too. It's the time you put in, man. Like all those things, all those little accomplishments, everything you've unlocked, not just the skins, like that sucks too. Why can't some of those things pop over as well? You lost all that data too, and I think that kind of sucks as well.
I'd rather lose the skins than the progression.
Yeah. Like
that's what I'm saying. So, but you lost it all, man. That's what I mean. Like, it kind of, so you're losing more than just the skins. The skins suck because money went into them. Time only went into the progression, but that's
more valuable.
That's what
that's even more valuable.
You know how long it takes to get a diamond gun? Like,
I would say one thing though.
Like super hectic. So imagine if you could have just spent $10 and bought it. You would have just bought it.
Right. It's like an 80+ hour grind to unlock all the weapons and get everything.
Sure.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but you're with gun skins in particular, you're not, as a former Call of Duty player myself, you're not telling me that Call of Duty players love having to grind all of the get 10 headshots and kill 20 people.
I mean, no, they do love it. They don't love having to do it the same thing over and over and over again. Like, I like doing the achievements, just having to do the same ones again. Damn, dude, I already headshotted those first newbies. Like, pass it on through, man.
You're talking about the ones with G Fuel IVs and stuff, man. They're different, right?
COD min-maxers, dude.
Yeah. Us regular COD folks, we just want to do it once.
That points out the biggest ball that Xbox and Microsoft is dropping, and Sony too. They could be helping gamers grab on their old profiles and flex it. If there was some way that I could go grab my old Xbox gamer tag and my profile and my history there, and if it was a $100 service I had to pay for to go get it, frick, I'd do that in a heartbeat. I tried so hard and I just lost my account because account
I've
details
been there
and
as
all
well
that stuff. And there's so many
guys
data, man.
God, oh my, why? You know what could help with that?
Should be on chain.
Oh,
Web3 technology. Blockchain, baby.
Right now.
I don't know. I hate to say it, but all that data would have been there. It'd have been transparent. Maybe. They could have pulled it. Or another third party service could have pulled it and used it. Something like that. Just saying.
Hey, it does fix a lot of things, man.
I know, a lot of data. A lot of data, and a lot of cool ways to use it. And hopefully, games are going to get on board with this. But we definitely do have several native Web3 games who I'm sure are taking that sort of thing into consideration as they develop here. And we have actually a ton of cool games coming out on the horizon here. Big games like Phantom Galaxies announcing their release date coming out, or the next release date. Shrapnel getting ready to start. Players.
Ready for that one.
Off the Grid is supposed to be around the corner.
iPad Hooligan, Off the Grid, yeah. I'm not going to make that comment. Yeah.
I wish it was sooner, man. But trust me, I've been hounding them. I've been knocking their doors down.
I thought
dude.
I saw Q4
Stache. All right, we'll give you the intel. Just shut the hell up and stop contacting us.
Yeah. But
that's why we love Stache.
But yeah,
get the info for us. Sorry.
No, you're good, Apollo. There's going to be hella options for people out there in Web3 looking to play games pretty soon here. I want to ask you guys in our lightning round to end out the show, which Web3 game you think is going to garner the biggest player base in 2024, or I guess maybe 2025 included too, because the next few years. Let's say that. But we're going to go in order of King Apollo, No ACLs, Dub, then Stache. So King Apollo, you're up first, man. Which Web3 game do you think is going to garner the biggest player base over the next few years that you've been keeping an eye on?
So I'm gonna actually give two. I'm gonna give like one that I feel like is really gonna hit, and I feel like I'm a little more confident. And I'm gonna give one that I've been playing like a lot lately, and I feel like if they make some more moves, they'll be able to be one of those people. So the first one that's like a guarantee. I feel like Shrapnel's gonna do really good. Everything I've seen has been really good. I mean, from their promotion to the trailers, I've seen a few like test stuff, and it all looks really good. It seems like they're going the right direction. Um, and the one other than that I would say, and I feel like it's a real sleeper in the game, is it's already been out and it's like one of the only ones with a real storyline and actually that I can grind every day is Stella Fantasy.
Hey,
I feel like Stella's a real slept one. Like, and I feel like if they make the right moves to get themselves out there, man, I really like the game. I mean, I've never played an ARPG in my life, and I never liked one. I'll say that, and that was the first one I actually liked.
That I'll tell you, man, that game is stacked.
It's
Bro,
stacked.
oh, I
Anyway,
love it.
Yes,
I
it's
love it.
stacked.
My parties are definitely
Gs.
stacked for sure. The waifus are on point in there. I would say that, and it's beautiful
So
art.
so maybe
That's
so
one
maybe we're
thing.
thinking like, why have you never played one of these before? Now you're playing this one.
Yeah. I tried Genshin and didn't like
Good
it,
choice.
honestly. And then I tried this one and it was like, all right. I can say that the women in the game did have a nice win on me, and it helped out a lot. But I'm a huge fan of anime. I'm a huge fan of art, and I feel like
I'm a huge
it
fan of
honestly.
Ruby.
Yeah. Oh, Ruby's
Yeah,
Ruby's
Ruby.
one of my
Woo.
favorites.
Genshin's not as stacked.
She's
though.
one of my favorites. Yeah,
I
Genshin's not a
hate
stack.
Lynette, bro. Lynette
Bitch.
sucks.
Oh, Lynette is she's so moody, bro.
You guys are
Big
simps.
Lynette hater.
You guys are
She's so
simps.
moody.
You
guys are anime
I will say I'm
simps.
totally shocked that you picked
I'm
Stella
like-
Fantasy. So
Yo, honestly, bro,
that
like
was a curveball, like big
it
time.
surprises a lot of people when I say like
was
Stella.
a
Like if
curveball.
you actually sit and play Stella, it has a storyline. Like name 5 other games with storylines in Web3. You really can't. Like not finished out ones that are completed games that you could actually go in and just play every day and not have to worry about multiplayer shit, like not having people to play with or something like that.
It's like an anime storyline. It's like a gotcha and a storyline.
Yeah,
so like,
yeah.
It's
It's more
very
like reading a
surface level. Like
manga.
it's like it is a
Good
story,
vibes, though.
but it's like it's a weird story.
But I honestly feel like most Asian games always had that
Yeah,
kind
no,
of
that's
like
true. That's what I'm saying.
storyline.
It's that
'cause,
style.
All the
It's that
Nintendo
style,
games, that Nintendo games was like I always felt like that. So it kind of brought me back to like that, that Pokemon and stuff back in there. Like actually, like you're reading a manga too. So those are my two, man. I feel like Strap's got it.
Dude,
Stella has potential.
I will say something about that real quick though. Whoa in chat was like, Stealth Fantasy is very niche and not many gamers are into gacha or anime games. What?
That's not
Ah,
true.
Bro, why has Genshin Impact been like top 5? Like over like, dude.
If you look at
Honkai
Google search
Railstar,
trend,
like also huge,
Genshin
like
is
huge,
the top game in the
huge.
world.
Maybe not here
Stella
in the
going
West,
mobile
but
too at
definitely
some
huge.
point?
Yeah, it's
And
mobile now.
Honkai, right?
It's mobile now.
Holy shit, it's mobile now?
Yeah, Stella's mobile now. They're working on iPhone in the next few months. Like they're making moves, dude. We interviewed them a while back, and I went and dived into it, and I've been hooked ever since. It's been like 4 or 5 months since 3XP Stache when we were in California.
That's
I've been
that's
playing
when,
it
that's
ever
when
since.
they told me about it, and I interviewed them too. And I like what they're doing. I will say I have heard from my insider agents on this one that they are wrecking the economy as it's with each update, but in general, games is good.
Yeah, but get it
Yeah.
while the getting's good, baby. If the, you know,
Yeah, that's perfect for
Yeah.
user acquisition. Nice
Get it
Nah,
while
yeah,
the gating's
they
good.
did. Economy did get a little, and they made it so that you could get more characters, and I felt like it was a good and a bad thing. Like it was
Well,
good and
it's-
effective. Go ahead.
It's the difference between people who like want to play who enjoy the game for the game and who enjoy the game for the money from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they just made it more accessible. I feel like honestly, it helped more people want to stick around. The people I did introduce to the game, they're like, it's so hard to get the 4th character, and I don't want to buy one. And I'm like, yeah, I bought one. It was like I just bought one, dude. Like I'm sorry.
No,
like,
you got to get that 4th character. So like making that. I mean, there are some improvements they definitely should have made. Anyways, I don't want to harp too much on this. All right, let's go. It's supposed to be lightning. Damn it, that was way too
Yeah,
long.
I'm
Lightning
sorry.
round. No, you're
No, it's
good.
not your fault. It's mine. I jumped in.
All right, no ACLs. You're up next, man. Which Web3 game do you think is going to garner the biggest audience or player base in the next few years?
Next few years, I'm gonna pick 2, and it's a straight fastball coming at you. I've got Dead Drop and my Pet Hooligan. They're gonna be
Okay.
like popping. Yeah, next few
Word,
years.
yeah.
with it.
All right,
I agree with MPH. MPH is making moves.
MPH is making moves. Dead Drop, I
Yeah.
think
More
it
than
will
just
be-
gaming. Right?
It'll be interesting to see I think Dead Drop is going to be a hit too, but I want to see how they do competing with Shrapnel. That's particularly like the
Yeah.
A/B test that I want to see with those two. All right, Dub, you're up next. Which Web3 game do you think will garner the biggest player base in the next few years?
Yeah. It's first of all, mobile versus like the rest, right? Because mobile is going to be massive.
True.
Like, I think for mobile, it's going to be the poker one from Gala. Like it's ready, it's out.
Mhm.
You know, go to town, and it's a poker poker mobile too. Like it's just all things to build up. And then I think honestly, Shrapnel and Dead Drop, they're just too far out in my mind. Like they still got another year or two, and then they will be right. I think My Pet Hooligan might be there, but I think Parallel has something interesting with Colony
Mhm.
that just might take off, and I'm gonna put a little like wild card on that one for next year. And like even that's it. That's all I got.
Dub's putting his chips on Parallel, baby. Let the spin the wheel, spin the wheel.
I gotta get into that.
All right,
It's pretty
Stache.
fun. Yeah.
Last but certainly not least, which Web3 game do you think will garner the biggest player base in the next few years?
So for next year, I think Off the Grid is going to launch next year, and I think that it's going to get a huge player base, man. I really do. I think that they really have, like from what I saw, that the early gameplay, it looks on point, man. Like really, really good. It looks like it's a game that everyone's going to want to play. It blends things enough. So I think next year that will be the game that really brings in a lot of like people actually play it outside of Web3, brings in a good audience. I will also say, in that same stream, I think My Pet Hooligan could do the exact same thing, but for like the other side of
different
things,
audience.
right? For all the Fortnite players and the Minecraft play and people like that will pick up that shooter. I think they do have a really good chance of being big. Now beyond next year into like 2024, I do think Dead Drop actually has a really good chance. So when you talk about these games and what gives them the best chance? It's exposure, it's marketing, right? As much as you can build an amazing game like what Shrapnel's doing or Off the Grid, if you don't have the marketing and you can't get people to your game, even if it's fucking amazing, it doesn't matter. And Dead Drop has Doc built in as a marketing engine with millions of followers and subscribers that want to play the exact game he's making. That's a winning combo, man, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one.
You
But
heard it
not
here
till
first, folks.
2025.
Yeah, that's why I was
You didn't
saying
keep your
mine's
skins
is.
with Duck.
Yeah, Doc gonna let us keep them.
Yeah, let Doc cook for another year and a half, and then he's ready to go.
Yep.
And you don't care.
Yeah, true.
It's like I don't care if you don't like it.
But we're actually running out of time here tonight, folks. Before we head off, I want to thank some of the senior agents some of the agents who are hanging out with us in chat here. I know Ninja Fourth hanging out, putting the Stache Pepe in chat. Thanks for sticking with us through the show. I know Ank is in here too. Ank, man, thanks for coming through. And thank you guys for being with us here, the guests tonight. For you guys watching, make sure before you head off here to go to the description and click on the links to these guys' channels too. Give them a follow, give them a like, spread the love around. That's what we like to do here. But that is all we have for tonight. This has been Around the Metaverse. Thank you guys again for being with us here. Catch us next week for another episode next Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have another banging episode for y'all. But that's it for tonight. We out, folks.
Peace.